focus on hopefully.
Which one are we closing? Which one are we closing? I'm scared now.
Oh no, not yeah. So I think you just type the chat. No, not closing this one. I mean like the other one, as in. Oh yeah, I think just ignore it, not closing. I mean oh yes, somebody say hello.
Yes. Oh, Anjali.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hello,
Anjali. So good to see you, and thank you so much for your patience as well.
Yes.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. So while we're kind of waiting for others to join in, and I really hope that they do, I've sent the new link. So let's see. Jen, do you want to kind of give a quick intro and I'll do the same?
Yes, definitely. So first of all, thank you for being really patient and stick around, because we didn't expect this to happen. Last week it went quite easy, and this week we just have this technical. It's just very confusing. We're working things out. So thank you for sticking around. And again, if you just joined the channel, please type in on the chat box so that we know that you could hear us, you could see us. Let us know if you could hear us or you could see us. Okay. Yes. Hello, Mohammed. Hello. Yes. So I am Jian. I'm the Grad Careers Coach, student career consultant. If you have any question and you want to get in touch with us to help you in terms of securing a tier 2 and skilled work job in the UK, then likely you'll be speaking to me or some other colleagues that will be helping you to choose the right program to get on to the program to help you to secure a tier 2 job. So that's what I do. And today live streams here with Anika. So any questions or anything that you want to ask us, we will be able to, hopefully we'll be able to answer all the questions that we have. Yeah. Anika, over to you.
Thank you. So sorry. I think we're just kind of adjusting to the fact that it's taken us so long to set this up, and I can take complete responsibility. So sorry to Jian and to everybody who was expecting us to start at 4. Please, bear with us. So my name's Anika Awasthi, and I'm the founder of Grad Careers Coach. Our team of careers coaches have been helping international students just like you to secure graduate jobs in the UK. We focus on specific industries, so professional services, investment banking, engineering and technology, because these are the sectors that tend to hire the most international students. But this is always changing as well. I know, things like healthcare is increasing their intake, and others such as engineering, number of jobs are going down. So we're constantly kind of reviewing this and changing this. In the kind of the past, nearly 5 years that we've been doing it, there've been so many changes. I don't think it's ever been easy for an international student who, to look and apply for a job in the UK. And this year brings its own set of new challenges with COVID-19. And this is one of the reasons why we have started doing live Q&As. So we're still very new, as you can tell. But it's to support you, because I think at the moment, just having information, having the advice and the reassurance, hopefully will help you get through this challenging time. So please use the chat, ask us questions. Even if you just want to comment on your experiences, that's brilliant. That's good for us to know, and I'm sure will be helpful for other students on here as well. But yeah, that was quite a long intro, but hopefully,
I think that's good, because then people kind of know what we're doing, and so that we can find some relevant questions. We might not be able to answer to all the questions we have today, because we came so late, but we will try our best. So shall we go to the first question from Anjali? So I've been waiting to ask what is difficult for someone in creative field to score a job, like theatre or acting?
Great question, really, really good question. And we do have inquiries from students who want to get into this field, and just the arts more generally. Unfortunately, we don't have expertise in this field. And the reason why is because there are very few graduate jobs with sponsorship in this particular area. And at the same time, I don't want to discourage you from applying, because you know this industry and this sector in much more depth than we do, because we don't cover that. But it doesn't tend to be an industry that hires a lot of internationals and kind of offers sponsorship. So yeah, this is a quite brief answer, and sorry, I kind of can't be more reassuring and more positive. But what I would say is, if this is a field that you are interested in, I would go to your career service, or your course tutor, and ask them, have there been international students who've secured jobs in this field, etc., and try and get their help, because they would be the experts, I think, rather than us, because I kind of mentioned the sectors that we cover. Jan, what do you think?
Yeah, I think definitely if you're studying here in the UK, then definitely go to your probably your lecturers, or your network that you already have, because this is not our expertise, and we don't want to give you the wrong advice. I think that is really key, because at Grad Careers, what is important is this is also an opportunity just for us to kind of tell you, if you do not know about us, how we work is we have a team of coaches who are also graduate recruiters. So we are specializing on the industry that we know, we have the knowledge in, and creative, like theater or acting, it's just simply not an area that we focus on. Like Anika say, it doesn't mean that there is no opportunity, because we do not have the expertise, so we do not know that much in depth. So if you go to your in university or career center, because they're creating this course, they will have expertise from this course, and then trying to see if there will be any connection that you could make from that, because I think that is really important, regardless which sector you work in. Usually there is always connection. We talk about a lot in the last few on our live Q&A on our tier 2 Launchpad as well. It's about the network that you build from now on, even though you're just a student, how are you going to build this network? So go to the expertise that you have from the university, or any other connection that you have. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so let's move on to the next question, and it's from Angel Chandwani. My question is similar. What is the chance of science graduates securing tier 2 visa sponsorships in the science field? That's so broad, so it'd be really helpful to kind of know the more specific area that you're looking at, but I think there are more and more opportunities in this area. Historically, for pharmaceutical companies, there are a set number that sponsor and have got the reputation for hiring international students. So absolutely, apply to those companies. But as just prediction on the back of kind of COVID-19, I think there are going to be more opportunities that are kind of available in this field. Again, probably not the kind of answer that you're looking for, but we don't focus hugely on science. It's very much kind of engineering, but slowly we could change that approach as well. It would be really interesting as well to let us know your experience of applying to science-related graduate jobs. How has that been? Have you managed to find kind of opportunities? Because the thing about that question, what are my chances? It doesn't always relate to the number of opportunities. It could be that there are few opportunities, but if you tick all of the right boxes and you're exactly what the UK company is looking for, and you have all the right skills, then actually your chances of securing that job is very high. So it's it's definitely a good question. And as we always say to students who ask it, it very, very much depends on so many factors. And I think we mentioned this in the last Q&A last week, but we have a kind of quiz, an online assessment, I should say, called "What are your chances of securing a tier 2 job in the UK?" So I can include this link in the event description for you all to kind of go through the questions and gain a bit more of an understanding of all the different success factors that determine your chances of securing a job in the UK.
Yeah, so this really, I think it's really key. I think Angel just said that she's in biology, so that's what she's referring to.
Okay.
On biology. So yes, the same thing. It doesn't change. What Annika said. It's just really about your, we don't focus on biology, but if you have any experience, if you could share with us in the chat box, how do you find it so far? And also, are you the second year or third year student? Are you doing a master's here? Is it a master that you're doing? I'm not sure because I couldn't see anything. If you could just type it in so that I give you the share with us, because there might be, if it's not us, it's also other students that probably might be on board as well, that is watching this channel. You might be able to help each other as well. So share with us your experience about applying for the job. Yeah. Abhinav, should we go to Abhinav's question? I'd like to know how situation for MBA graduates on securing a job. Any tips and tricks?
So
again,
I think firstly, having an MBA is fantastic. I think all the skills that you would develop during your course can be massively transferred to the UK job market. I think those business skills or analytical skills are in demand, and you will find a wide range of tier 2 jobs that you could apply to. So I think that's a huge advantage. It doesn't narrow your scope, it broadens it. And I guess for you need to now sit down and work out of all of these different types of job opportunities, which tier 2 job roles are going to be most suitable for me. So maybe think about the things that you've really excelled in your course, what you've really enjoyed from your past work experience, and I always say try and create a list of your top strengths and skills, and then try and match these to the tier 2 job opportunities that are out there. Because again, it's not a case of applying everywhere. You're a busy MBA student, you have limited time. So it's really focusing your efforts on the right jobs. I have other tips just about applications more generally. But Gian, did you kind of want to add anything?
Yeah, I think that the good thing would be, at the end of this live, in our event in the description, the video description, we're going to include the link called "What are your chances? What are your chances of securing a tier 2 job?" If Abhinav about MBA question, I think it's really broad. Like Kanika said, there are so many opportunities that you can apply to. If you could go on to do the online assessments, the free assessment that you could do, if you could do that, that would give you an idea, kind of what are your chances, and also the areas that you could improve. Because you asked about the tips and tricks. A lot is to do with the areas that you can improve. So once you kind of worked out your areas to improve, that you will be able to have some idea on what you need to do to actually move forward. Can I just quickly, for those that who are watching now, would you be able to just quickly type into the chat and we will still go through your question, don't worry, but keep typing in the chat and just tell us that, are you a final year student, second year student, master student, PhD student? Just so that we get an idea of who are you that are watching this channel at the moment.
Yeah, that would be really helpful, actually. No problem, Abhinav. I hope that's kind of answered your question. I know it seems you probably have kind of a lot to do in terms of doing a bit of a self-assessment, really. But your course lends itself to lots of different kinds of jobs, which is brilliant. Should we answer the question from Chems?
Yeah, Chems.
I really hope I'm pronouncing that right.
Yeah.
I'm really sorry if I'm not. So, hello, I'm a finance professional planning for a master's in finance from University of Exeter, great university. I wanted to know the prospect for tier 2 sponsorship given the current COVID situation. It's really good. I mean, could you possibly let us know how much experience you have? You mentioned kind of you're a finance professional. I think that would help to know how much experience you have previously and where the experience was, etc. But definitely we can answer that question more broadly, just around how COVID-19 is affecting international students. I would say it's not equally affecting every sector. I think there are some sectors that have been badly impacted. So the obvious ones being, hospitality, tourism, travel, to some extent, the construction industry, for example, and then you have others who have been far less impacted. And you can see from kind of graduate jobs data that they're still hiring, and they're still hiring the same number of graduates as they were last autumn, which I think is really encouraging. So it really depends on the sector. But if we just look at kind of professional services, finance, investment banking, the recruitment is still strong and they're still hiring. How recruitment has been affected, I think the recruitment process itself has changed, and the way UK employers are assessing candidates has slightly changed. So, these large kind of sponsoring companies were always doing the initial interviews online mostly. So that part hasn't changed, but the later stages, so for example, the assessment centres, the final interviews, that's now moved from being in person to being virtual. So that format has changed. Yeah, Jan, is there kind of anything else that springs to mind about the impact?
No, I think you've covered almost everything that's key, because we are pretty much in a unknown.
Yeah.
Kind of, we know quite a lot more than probably 6 months ago, but which is not as negative as most people think it is in terms of graduate recruitment. A lot of graduate recruitment is still going on, but it's just that it is just that really what Anika just said. You need to kind of get on board and understand the process, the new process of recruitment, how recruitment would change. And we have a video as well on this channel, if you haven't seen it, which was because I noticed that you just typed in that you have 2 years experience in investment banking.
Oh, brilliant.
So brilliant experience. But I just want to highlight that we actually posted a video that we have and we did an interview with a graduate recruiters, Rianne, from an investment bank. And she talked about how the recruitment process has changed. So if you could look up, I think it was 2 weeks ago that we posted the video on our channel.
Yeah,
an interview with Rianne about how the impact of COVID-19, and also especially she talked a little bit about the openness, London, the demand in London still a lot, and then she also talked about the demand that what you need to do in order for what are your strengths that you can bring on board, and the language requirement from other offices in Europe. She covered all those things as well. So please look it up. It was really good interview that we did with Rianne. So have a look at that.
Yeah, perfect. But don't be discouraged. Yes, the number of job roles across the whole labour market has dropped. You'll find that if you look at graduate jobs websites, you'll see that kind of straight away. But the kind of the key message is, that employers are still hiring. I think it was Renesi, one of our kind of past students who now works at Arup, and he kind of says that, you know, the recruitment in their company and in their team is still going strong because they've learnt their mistakes from the past. They, post the financial crisis in 2008, Arup really reduced recruitment and of their graduates. And they found that the next sort of 12, 18 months were really difficult. They found it really, really hard because they didn't have the talent coming in. And companies need this, you know, so they need you as much as you need them. And you know, you can see they're still advertising, they're still recruiting. What it could mean is there may be a little bit more competition for certain roles. So if there's even more of an emphasis on you needing to stand out. I mean, as an international student, you already stand out. You're pretty unique. You know, you've got a great story to tell. You've come here from another country to study and overcome, you know, all the challenges that brings. But just really be mindful of needing to really stand out in your applications, in your interview. You know, you can't be just as good as kind of everybody else. You need to be better, and knowing how to do that, I think is really important. I hope that's helpful. Anyway, I know it's a brief answer to a huge topic, but it was a really good question. I think something that I know a lot of international students are worrying about, the impact of COVID-19.
Cool.
So, Ashwin, a question from Ashwin.
Yeah, Ashwin. Where is it? I'm just trying to, because the chat is going so quickly now.
Oh, right, okay. So Ashwin has asked, do you help with, oh gosh, even I've just lost it.
Industrial placement year.
Industrial placement year. Yes, we do help with applying. It depends on your timeline. So to apply for industrial placement, you need time. Just as timing is important for graduate jobs, timing is also really important for placements. There are often fewer placements available, and you have to apply early for them. And I'm talking about these kind of 1 year placements at these large companies. You will need to apply months in advance. So if you have enough time, you have sufficient time, and you've got an idea of where you want to apply for, absolutely we can help. We do tend to focus on graduate roles, so helping international students to secure kind of permanent long-term graduate roles. But alongside that, we can absolutely help with your applications for an industrial placement. But just to give you an example, sometimes we get inquiries from students who have to secure an industrial placement in the next sort of 8 weeks, you know, and that is too short a time period for us to find you those placement opportunities and help you apply to that. So I think your timing is critical. What I would suggest is potentially sending us your CV and a little bit more information about the industrial placement year, when it needs to start, how long for, etc. So if you can send your CV to hello@gradcareerscoach.com, then we can advise you on your next steps.
Yep. Yes, so we can advise on next steps. Ashwin just talked about the he was studying. Ashwin is going to do MSc Mechanical Engineering at University of Leicester. So you say you are going to do, you're probably coming in January, I guess, or maybe September next year, I don't know. So so getting ready, which is good, which is really good. Like I would say that is really good that if you are just going to start, or you have just started this intake, or September, October intake, I think this is a brilliant time for you to start thinking about what you're going to do in terms of your employment after you graduate, especially if you're doing a 1-year master, because what we find most students, the biggest problem, biggest challenge that most international students have is not enough time to apply. So whether it's industrial placement, whether it's you're looking for tier 2 or skilled work, from January, as some of you might know, that there's no longer tier 2, it's called skilled work. So if you want to switch to another category to work in the UK, then you need to really start now, start as early as possible to get ready for the application. So Omar, we should go to next one. Omar, from pharmacy background, do I have opportunities in UK? I'm from India. Yeah, I think there are a few quick questions here that Omar, I'm not sure are you a student? When you say you have experience, how many years? Oh, so you have done, I just look at a comment down further down, you've done a master's in pharmacy. So I'm not sure if you've done your master's in the UK, or you're now back to India, or kind of what is your situation? So it's very difficult for us to comment at the moment without those information. But in general, if you are currently a student here, then you still have a valid visa until January, February, or March. Then you still have you can still apply for that for the job. But then again, although we know that pharmaceutical jobs they do sponsor, but we don't have the expertise in it. So it's not the best. It's not the best for us to comment too much about pharmacies if we do not know much about it. So yeah, and anything that you want to add, Anika?
I'd say it's probably a good field to be looking into because of everything that's going on. And also, even though we're not immigration experts, definitely not, but we do regularly speak to immigration lawyers, and I was actually speaking to one kind of earlier today. But from January 2021, there's going to be a new points-based immigration system, and I believe that it's going to be easier for candidates to apply to jobs in the UK from outside of the UK. They're dropping the skills level, they're getting rid of things like resident labour market tests. So they're trying to create an environment that makes the UK more welcoming to just students and just professionals outside of the UK. But again, because we focus on graduates and we focus on students who are switching from a student visa to a work visa, I kind of can't give lots of in-depth information about that. But yes, so we have another question. I mean, there's a lot of health
today we have a lot of health professionals.
Actually super interesting and really topical. So another one from Josie, doing a master's in infectious disease epidemiology. Just about managed that. Brilliant. Again, I think very relevant to the way that sector is kind of growing. But it is very niche and specialist, and we as Jan said, and it's kind of I've said, we don't tend to advise students who want to go into healthcare and pharmacy. So just as a recap, actually, it might be helpful for those of you who might just be joining us now. We do focus mainly on professional services. So kind of like management, consultancy, audit, tax, general business. We focus on investment banking, engineering and technology. So less of science sector. But yeah, let's kind of move on. So there's quite a few questions and comments now, which is great. Indra, should we?
Yeah.
Indra, hi, I've completed my graduation in civil engineering. Well done for completing that. And I've switched to computer science in my master's. Okay. What are my chances to getting placed in a software company? Jan, it's a what are my chances question again.
Yeah. Yeah, again, what are my chances? I think it is really chances, we cannot just tell you, like Anika said earlier, chances doesn't depend on how many jobs available out there. The chances really, every individual, every student has different kind of chances of securing a job in the UK. Again, I would say that what you are studying with an engineering background, with computer science, and we know that it depends. Also, a very broad question, software companies. We know that at the moment, a lot of IT companies are actually growing because of the use of tech, and everything is growing. It sounds like it's really positive, but again, the chance doesn't just depend on how many jobs out there. Of course, it has some influence, of course. The best way, again, I want to direct you to our online assessment. Do the assessment. What are your chances? Your chances of securing tier2job.com. We will post that in the link later. So, but that is kind of where you will get an assessment done, and then you will be able to have an idea of what are your chances. It will give you actually a percentage. It will give you a percentage. It will also give you a what do you call that? Is the areas that you need to improve on to improve your chances. So whatever percentage that you get, you can improve on them. So please do that, and then find out the areas for improvement.
Yeah, and I've just posted a link in the chat to online assessment, so hopefully everybody can see that and you can complete the online assessment. But I'd agree with Jan. I think software and technology, these are kind of growing sectors, becoming more and more important, and I guess for everybody on this live session, instead of kind of wondering, what are my chances, and I totally understand that question and why you're asking it, but maybe also just focus on what can I do to increase my chances, and there are so many things you can do kind of right now to kind of increase your chances. So one of the things that UK employers really like to see is evidence of your kind of proactive nature, for example. So I and Jan, I think you joined me yesterday with Dan. So I ran a Q&A with one of our coaches, Dan Costello, and he is a graduate recruiter. He's been a graduate recruiter at Shell for 9 years, and he's just moved to Fujitsu, so obviously a very well-known technology company. And he said that he has recruited for lots of different types of roles. And at the graduate level, the skills and qualities that employers are looking for are pretty similar across, whether it's technology, whether it's, finance. They look for certain skills from all of their graduates. And he mentioned that one of them is your ability to be analytical. So to process information and provide an outcome and get to a conclusion. So are you showing that in your CV, in your applications? Do you have examples of that kind of skill? He also kind of mentioned that being proactive and being resilient are things that a company values and would really appreciate, especially at this time where you may have to start your new job remotely. So the more kind of proactive you are, if you're a kind of person who can take initiative and reach out to people rather than wait for them to come to you, are qualities that an employer in the UK would massively value. There was a third one as well. It was the ability to plan. So plan an event or plan a project, plan your time, and be able to explain to the employer how you approach projects and how you plan your time effectively. So these three things I think are quite general. I don't think they're specific to a particular sector, but it's very interesting that actually that these are the kind of things that UK employers are looking for. And if you can address these things and provide really good examples for these areas, then that will increase your chances of securing a job massively. So I hope that's a helpful answer.
Yeah, that was yesterday when the interview was really good. We're going to upload the video as well at some point in the future.
Yes, yeah, I know. It's on my list of jobs to do, but it was a really good video.
Yeah, and also just to let everyone know that who's watching, if you want to watch all these videos, we have something that called a Tier 2 Launchpad. The Tier 2 Launchpad, which is the platform that we created for international students like yourself. So you can join, if you join the Tier 2 Launchpad, what you can do is that as a member, you will get access to these live Q&As that what we just mentioned, that Anika just mentioned. So you, as a member, you get this live Q&A regularly. You can ask questions, live questions like this, but live with the recruiters. With Dan, with like Dan and with Rianne, all these questions that you have, you can ask them live, so that you get all these questions as well that is specific to your condition, your unique situation. So something that you might be interested in looking into, that you can join us on the platform.
Yeah, totally. And I'm actually going to send a link in the chat so you can have a look and see what the careers platform will provide, and I guess how it can really help you to secure a job. So if you're sitting there thinking, what are my chances, or how can I increase my chances, then I would highly recommend our careers platform. So I mean, the reason that kind of we set it up, months ago now, is the reason was to kind of help international students access information, advice, support, tips from employers as well. So very specific ways in which you can increase your chances, very specific ways you can improve your applications, improve your interview skills. And all of this is on an online platform. So before, we were very much doing kind of one-to-one coaching, but we realized it's not for everybody. And actually, the platform gives you access to our whole team. So we do live Q&A sessions like this with different members of the team, usually about 3 to 4 times a month. I've been kind of increased it now. And you also get access to lots of careers resources that are specifically for international students. So yeah, I will send a link to this on the chat.
Yeah, and where we were at Indra, and then we're gonna go to Amand, you said that you are a second-year student. Wow, good. Second-year students looking into job application. This is like the ideal time for you. If you finish on the 3rd year, then this is kind of the ideal time for you to look into it, start preparing. And then on your 3rd year, by the time you finish your 3rd year, you can already secure the job. By the end of your 2nd year, you can already start applying for those jobs, preparing and start applying for those jobs that you want to work in. So this is a really good time. Again, I think we covered this a little bit, biomedical science, so we're not going to go into too much details. Previously, if you haven't seen it, maybe when this video this live stream is done, there will be a full video that you can go back and watch it earlier, because we talked a few things about science already earlier. So we're probably not going to go into a bit too much details on that. If we have time, we can come back to it. Is there anything else that you want to add, Anika?
Yeah, one thing I would say is, whatever field that you're interested in, I think the fact that you're thinking about it in your 2nd year is fantastic. As Jian said, I think it's really, really good. The earlier, the better. What you can do now as a very simple exercise is visit the top graduate websites, things like Prospects, Target Jobs, Bright Network, and then really have a look at the companies that are advertising right now, their roles. And I guess what I would say is, the more familiar you are with what's out there, what's available, what's who's recruiting and for which jobs, the better position you're going to be when you get to your final year. And you can only respond to what's available in the job market. So if you kind of get to your third year and you find that there are, lots of jobs available with sponsorship in your field, brilliant. But if you're looking now and you're doing your research and you think actually there's not too many, but potentially I can use some of the skills for another sector that I can find lots and lots of different roles for, then that's great. So what I'd say is just, it's not too early to do research, and one simple way of doing that is just visiting UK graduate jobs websites. And I really like Prospects and I really like Bright Network. And you can select it by sector. This initial research is so valuable. So just, you're asking really good questions now, but I think one thing that you could potentially do after this session is do some research, and you'll really discover what's available and what your plan is going to be when you get nearer to your final year.
Yeah. Next question, Jose or Jose, I think you asked the question before. I'm eligible for the 2021 graduate route. Would you recommend applying for jobs that don't necessarily offer visa sponsorship to get work experience? Very good question. I think this is a very, very good question that you ask this question now, which means that when you ask this question, it also means that you are thinking about it in a more critical way and thinking about what is best. I think the answer to this question is it depends on what you want out of it. So these graduate routes that come back to, you used to call the post-study work visa, very similar to this. It is very useful for you to give you a little bit of time to look for jobs, look for work, rather than previously you only had 4 months to stay in the UK. And also the good thing is within these 2 years, you can do anything which doesn't necessarily need a visa sponsorship. If you want to get a job that your plan is to stay in the UK for long term, then this visa should be used as your stepping stone, as some extended time for you to secure a job that will get you a sponsorship. So, for example, if you want to switch into the skilled work as soon as you can, because on this graduate route category, you cannot renew it. So if you want to stay in the UK in the long term, this might not be the best visa for you, right? So because you can't renew it after 2 years, unless you get another sponsorship, then you have to get on another sponsorship anyway, if you want to stay in the UK for long term. Now, if what you want is to just stay in the UK to get some work experience, 1 year or 2 years, then you go away, and then this is a perfect visa for you. If you're not thinking, oh, you just want to get a work experience first and see how it goes, your intention is not to stay in the long term, or you might want to change in the long term later, it's good for you. But if your intention is already very clear that you want to stay in the UK for long term, then you should get a skill visa as soon as possible.
Yeah, you've covered everything. So essentially that, Josie, it just depends on your plans. Do you want to stay here for 2 years, or do you want to stay here for longer? And if your answer is, I want to stay here longer than 2 years, then don't wait to get your sponsorship, because one thing I will say is UK employers, for many of their graduate roles, they want fresh graduates. So it's going to be very difficult for you then to apply for a graduate role at the end of your 2 years on your graduate route. So just be careful, and you might have to think quite early on about what your plan is going to be.
Yeah. And also another thing that I mentioned it quite a bit. I'm not sure if Nicholas is they agree with it, but my personal experience, I did came to the UK when the post-study visa was still available, and what I saw was a lot of people is that you get this visa 2 years, and then you might end up, not always, you might end up doing some job that's not even at graduate level. And also what happened would be that you might be working with an employer that promising you smaller companies usually that they're not ready to sponsor. They say that we will sponsor you by the end of 2 years. And then when it comes to the end of 2 years, they decided that they're not going to get the license or they're not ready to sponsor or things have changed. Then it also means that you got to start, it kind of put you back rather than moving you forward, if that makes sense, if your intention is to stay in the UK for long term, of course. So that is also another thing to be aware of as well. Yeah.
So we have a follow-up question from Ashwin. My course comes with industrial year, so I'd like to know when will be the right time to apply for a graduate role or an internship, as I'm starting a master's in January 2021. A good question. So I would say that most graduate roles which come with sponsorship usually start in autumn, so around September. Sometimes you have roles that start in January, but they're fewer. And then I think the kind of after autumn, the second most popular start time is spring, so maybe around March time. So for you, you could begin applying for graduate roles from September 2021. Okay, so while you're on your master's, or it would be around September, and know that you'd be applying in September for roles that are starting the following year. So it would be roles that are starting in September 2022. Okay, so there is quite a long lead time. So that's for applications to large graduate programs or large graduate schemes. That tends to be the recruitment. But of course, there are lots of companies that have ongoing recruitment as well. And for those, it kind of really depends, to be honest, on the company. So it's just a case of researching, what kind of companies you want to apply for and looking when do they recruit? Is it ongoing or is it a fixed time? And ask yourself those questions now. That would be my advice around a graduate role. Anything you wanted to add, Jan, before I kind of...
No, I think that's great. Yeah, you have covered everything. Yep.
And then for internships, normally, I don't remember if you said, you're going to do a placement year. I think, you did say that. So for a placement year, again, it varies. Usually companies, large companies who offer 1 year industrial placements, I think they open their placements around 4 to 6 months before the placement starts. So again, just try and get in there really early. There's websites such as Rate My Placements and lots of other kind of internships websites that you can sign up to alerts. So as soon as that company is posting their internship or their placement, you'll get an alert. For shorter internships, the time lag might be a little bit shorter, but I know for the 1 year placements, I think it's around 4 to 6 months before. Okay, and often it can feel like an application for a graduate role, so you have to go through a few stages, even for your placement year. But I hope that's helpful.
Always starting early is always good, because with the placement year, it just means that you got to get ready, you got to be prepared, and if you don't get it, what is the alternative, all those kind of things. So it is always good to start early.
And the company you choose for your industrial placement, I think it's quite important. Obviously, try and aim for a company that can sponsor you, because they will be more inclined to want to keep working with you after your placement. You've been working there for a year, you've developed a really good network, you understand the company, the culture. Their recruitment fees go down as well. Every year companies do look at their pool of interns and make job offers that way. So just be mindful of where you're going to apply for your industrial placement year. So I think we probably got around 10 minutes left, and actually that's great because there's only a couple of more questions.
Yes.
So shall I read this one from Parveen? I'm not reading the one from Thunder Kittik because I don't really understand it, the 10th standard. That could be a qualification.
Yeah, it could be a qualification. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So, Thunder Kitty, if you want to give us a little bit more information, please feel free to do it. If we have time, we're happy to comment on that. But please do. It sounds like you really need help. We want to help you if we can, but if we don't have enough information, we won't be able to help you to give you the right advice. So please do give us a little bit more information if you want. Yeah, let's look at Paveen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, shall we? Yeah.
So
yeah, go for it, Anika. Yeah.
So I'm studying computer systems and networks engineering in Solent University. Will be graduating in 2024. Let me know what will be my future. Which skills do I need to find a tier 2 job? Good question, I think. That is a really big question, isn't it? Let me know what will be my future. And yeah, it is. This is really important questions and big things at stake. It is not just your job and just your first placement. It's your future. It's your career. And I think it's great that you're reaching out and kind of attending events like this when you do have quite a lot of time left on your visa. So I think that's really, really good. Being forward thinking, kind of asking the right questions now is going to help you. I think what you're studying is also really relevant to what's available in the UK job market. So really good. The technology, as we kind of mentioned earlier, is a kind of growing sector. And I think the digital skills that you have wouldn't only just be relevant for technology and kind of software, but also any roles now because of, definitely COVID-19. Every single company values technology and will be looking for graduates who are confident with their digital skills. The skills that you need to find a tier 2 job, I kind of mentioned them early on in this session. So if you missed out on the first part of it, then there will be a recording. I don't know, sometimes there's a bit of a delay in where the recording comes up, but the next sort of couple of hours you should be able to find that. But I kind of spoke about 3 important skills, generic skills rather than technical skills, but 3 skills that every single UK employer will appreciate and value and will ask you questions about in the recruitment process. So just work backwards from these and think to yourself, do I have these skills? And if you don't, you've got so much time to develop those skills, so you've got a huge advantage in that sense.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, and that's kind of a nutshell, but yeah, is there anything that you wanted to cover that I haven't covered?
No, I think it's great that you start early, Pavin. It's just really good that you start thinking about it. 2024 is still about 3-4 years from now, but definitely start thinking about it. Like Anika said, start looking at what are the graduate jobs out there that's available. Like previously we talked about with this student, and then also start thinking about what kind of skills do you need together so that you will have the skills that you will stand out, your extra curriculum, your other things that you do, your part-time jobs, all those things that you can start thinking about, because those things is going to add value so that you stand out among all other applicants when it comes to the time that you're applying in 2023, so that is kind of the time you have few years, the advantage because you start early, you're now getting engaged with this conversation, you will be able to kind of get an idea to be prepared for whatever that you need.
Yeah, the one thing I wanted to add actually is UK employers are looking less and less at your academics. So, for example, kind of EY are kind of a pioneer in this, and they are even dropping A-level requirements. So your college level qualifications, they're not even looking at and taking into consideration. And it's because they want to hire well-rounded graduates. So as Jan said, from now, are there things that you could be getting involved with at your university, extracurricular activities such as playing a sport or being involved in a society, or even better, having a leadership role in a society? All of these kind of things that you do outside of your degree are what employers will ask you about and what they will find really interesting. So the earlier you think about those things, the better. And of course, there's work experience. You have quite a few years to develop work experience, and through work experience, you're going to be developing the skills that you need to secure a tier 2 job. But also from an individual point of view, you will learn about different industries. And by 2024, you'll have a really good idea of what you enjoy doing and what you really don't enjoy doing. And all of those things will help you when it comes to the time that you're applying for a graduate job.
Yeah.
So we only have a couple of minutes. Do we take another question, or shall we wrap up? I will leave it to you, Jan.
Well, I think we only have really one question left, that from Pratik. So I think we just quickly go through that. We might not be able to go into too much details, but we were just saying that the Pratik's question is basically, can you help out on immigration guidance to students studying in the UK? I am EXP, but what does it mean? What's EXP? Do you know, Anika? EXP, International Auditor? Experienced National Auditor, interesting to work for consulting firms, special insurance. What recruitment's like? Again, I would say that I think what is really key is for us, we specialize more on graduate recruitment more than experience. If that's what is experience auditor, it is a complete kind of different way that recruitment is being conducted. So whatever that we said today, if you are listening throughout, or watching this live throughout, what we were mentioning, all the process and all those things are mainly for graduate recruitment rather than experienced recruitment. So it's kind of really different how the recruitment is being carried out, I would say.
Yeah, I would agree. But I think because he's mentioned about students studying in the UK, it could be that you're thinking about coming here to study. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But I don't know.
Okay. Yeah.
So in essence, yes, we do provide immigration advice, but that's very much within our platform, Tier 2 Launchpad. So myself and Jan, we aren't immigration experts, but we keep up to date on what's happening with immigration, because it's important that we know how immigration updates affect you as international students, how it's going to affect your chances of securing a job, and how it's going to affect the process of getting your work visa. So we have regular live Q&A sessions like this, but with an immigration lawyer, and the immigration lawyer answers much more specific questions around visa processes, etc. But more generally, you kind of mentioned auditing, consulting. These sectors are huge in the UK. I think professional services more generally, which covers audit, tax, consulting, advisory. This industry, I think, recruits the highest number of graduates, full stop. So it's very, very large, important industry. So that's it, I think, for today's live Q&A. I just wanted to say thank you so much for bearing with us. I think there was a difficult start with some technical issues, and hopefully the next Q&A will start on time and be much more smooth. But yeah, thank you so much for sticking with us and joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and we will update this all the links again, and yeah, so all the information that we have, we were trying to put it on this videos details, so you can come back and check on them. Any comments, if you are not watching it live, you're watching it after live, kind of any comments, please feel free to comment. If we can, we will answer your question as well. So yeah, stay tuned, and we will have our live again next week. So if you have any question, or make sure that you set a reminder so that next week you have any question, bring the question with you, and then we will be able to answer them for you.
Yeah, and good luck, everybody. And
Yeah,
I think already you're doing great by just attending things like this and asking questions. So well done. Enjoy the rest of your evening.